I've been loving the grind in Arc Raiders in any capacity you want to look at it, but one of the more important grinds to the game's core gameplay loop deals with the skill tree, a set of skills that you can unlock and upgrade while progressing through your journey, making your raider a more powerful version of themselves in a sense, in ways that greatly help your raid experience. With so much to jump into and discover with the Arc Raiders launch, I want to take a bit of time and talk about what I believe are the best unlocks for your skill tree, a relative understanding for how long that may take to get those, and at what point you may need to run it all over again if you'd like to. Drop your thoughts down below, drop a like if you guys enjoyed the video, and do me a huge favor, hit the subscribe button to stay up to date with all things Arc Raiders and other FPS content. We still have a lot going on here with existing and upcoming game launches that I'm excited to share it all with you, but for now, let's get into it. So first things first, the skill tree. This again, at its core, is just a way to simply upgrade your raider at core levels of the gameplay mechanics. To progress through this, you have to end up getting skill tree points. Well, how do you do that? You end up earning a point every single time you level up or rank up in Arc Raiders. So min-maxing XP, if you want to do this faster, is a thing that you really want to consider. We recently put up an XP guide here on the channel that can help out with that. Some of the best methods are honestly like really low maintenance ways to do this, but a point every level is what you're granted. So you're going to end up having to pick and choose which you find the most valuable, because otherwise, if you want to try and get everything here, it's going to take a long time to do that. So while it's not a one-size-fits-all thing, my recommendations for what I think are the best things you should try and do first and foremost really come down to like a kind of big five mentality, where there's 5 really important ones, and then things additionally beyond that are really beneficial and really helpful, but may not be as important as those main ones here. And also sometimes they're like extensions of those main 5. So as for the big 5, the first thing that I personally focus on is maxing out stamina in a capacity that I can. Again, this isn't a one-size-fits-all thing here. So if you value something else beyond stamina, that's entirely fine to deviate a little bit from this. But for the max stamina, I end up going for, first and foremost, the Youthful Lungs and Marathon Runner skills. Youthful Lungs will allow you to increase that max stamina, and Marathon Runner will allow you to lose less stamina when moving around. So if you're somebody that likes to traverse maps, or in my case, I was doing a lot of questing stuff, so I would have to go oftentimes from a random spawn point to an objective that could have been clear way across the map. In order to maximize my efficiency and how I could do this a little quicker, of course, being able to run for longer at a time is way faster from point A to point B than if not. And there's a million other scenarios you could think of where stamina really is just, of course, incredibly beneficial. Whether or not you're trying to get away from Arc enemies, other actual player raider enemies, you're trying to make an exfil before that elevator goes away, whatever the case, it's just incredibly beneficial to have at a very core level of your gameplay experience. Next, I think that we should end up considering using a survival skill, that being in-round crafting. Now, this is something that we've talked about here a couple of times leading up to the launch of the game, but this allows you to unlock the ability to field craft items while in game, and that can be incredibly beneficial, because while you have, of course, a ton of things in your inventory maybe stashed away, if you get into a bind and you have to end up using a ton of healing, well, unfortunately, you don't really have the ability to replenish that if there's a chance you may end up needing to take more damage in a fight with Arc or other real players. But if you have that ability to craft in-world, you can end up making things like bandages, shield rechargers. All of that is incredibly helpful, plus can also free up a lot of these sort of like spare salvage you'll end up having in your inventory, perhaps if you're looting absolutely everything. So just the ability to be able to replenish that stuff in-world, depending on the circumstances, could honestly be a lifesaver. There are so many times where I've run into situations where the Arc or other enemies have just kind of ganged up on me, and by the end, I'm hanging on by a thread, but I don't know around me where another shield recharger, Arc power cell, or bandages would be to get some of my health back. So just having that ability to consciously control that, incredibly beneficial. Next, let's talk a little bit about looting, because there also is, in the survival category, the Looter's Instinct skill that allows you to, when searching a container, reveal that loot faster. I don't know about you, but it's definitely something that at base, I'm like, come on, let's pick up the pace here a little bit whenever I'm looting and trying to find stuff. So to be able to max this out and have it go by faster, of course, it helps in pinch situations where there may be raiders around you if they're sneaking up on you and you have to get out of that inventory, but you want to still see everything, or just the core use case of trying to loot a little faster and keep on moving. Obviously, great thing to have here with this. And finally, another one that I'd highly recommend, especially if you are somebody that does like to loot, either PvE or maybe PvP, and you're taking a bunch of stuff off dead enemies where they may have some more valuable stuff, that valuable stuff is always pretty heavy, there is the broad shoulders skill, which allows you to increase the maximum weight you can carry, meaning that you're not going to get over encumbered nearly as fast as if you do not have this, which if you're going in with free loadouts, if you're going in with the regular base Raider augments, those things, of course, do have some relatively low weight limits where you are going to end up seeing that happen, but from there and upwards, you'll be able to increase that overall yield. Now, those are like my big 5 that I'm personally prioritizing. Whether or not, again, it fits your playstyle directly or not, it's entirely up to you. But additional things that I think can also add more value beyond just those 5, because there are a lot of skills within this skill tree that are very good. Let's start out with Calming Stroll. Now, this is going to take at least 2 points to end up getting to the point where you can end up utilizing that and start unlocking it, because you're going to have to go through that right side of the mobility tree as well. But this, when you get there, will allow you to, when walking, your stamina will regenerate as if you were standing still, which is incredibly beneficial, because obviously that means you're going to get that stamina back way faster, because that rate is different compared to walking versus standing still. But that's a huge benefit, is going to help you in most situations throughout the game. Next, let's talk about Traveling Tinkerer. This allows you to unlock additional items to field craft, adding on top of that in-round crafting, which we already established is so key to the gameplay experience. So just offering you the ability to craft even more items is definitely something very helpful. Proficient Prior allows you to breach doors and containers even faster. That obviously being something that helps out big time with either looting or trying to get into something. And if you don't end up even taking some of the things that like decrease the sound at which you breach, this will just allow you to get past that a little quicker, because you can end up hearing those breaching sounds from not like super far away, but surprisingly further than you may think. Loaded Arms compounds on the Broad Shoulders effect, where this will allow your equipped weapon to have less an impact on your encumbrance, meaning less weight overall for you. Downed but Determined is something that allows you that when you're downed, it will take longer to fully collapse, or die in that sense, where everything of yours is lost no matter what. Same with Turtle Crawl, where while downed, you take less damage, so that sort of bleed out effect takes longer time to fully enact. And of course, then that in and of itself prolongs how long before you collapse. But again, coupled then with Down but Determined is a great combination here if you are trying to stay alive and you have teammates that can res you. Ready to Roll is another one that I'm really looking forward to getting towards, but is again kind of on the back burner, where when falling, your timing window to perform that recovery roll is increased. So for those that are unaware, you can actually jump from higher distances within reason, like obviously not jumping off the spaceport tower or anything like that, but like within reason you can jump and mitigate fall damage, but you have to enable that combat roll within a specific timing window of when you're about to hit the ground. If you end up just trying to spam this in air, or just hitting it once in air thinking it will apply to when you're on the ground, that's not the case. So Ready to Roll will allow you to increase that window and timing, so it's not necessarily a pinpoint precise click you have to make. And finally, Security Breach is another one that I'd recommend, where this lets you breach security lockers. So security lockers aren't quite necessarily like keycard major rooms, but they are something that do require a little bit of that keycard access, where it's a like middle ground between the locked off areas. This will allow you to just simply breach into those normally. But that said, a lot of these are things that are relatively easy to obtain, at least the big 5. The additional of value items that we just mentioned, kind of breezing through those will take a little bit more time, because those are more often than not a little further into those skill tree sort of branches. As for the timing of the main 5 though that I recommended, Max Stamina is something you can actually get within like, I think it's your first, I want to say it's like 10 or 11 levels, is you can max out fully Youthful Lungs and Marathon Runner, because I think you have a base skill tree token you get, and then every single level after that, I think it's, I want to say, yeah, like 10 or something like that. So by level 10 or 11, you can max out one of these. Some of your other things like in-round crafting takes a little bit longer. You can jump from 1 to 1 to try and progress that a little further, but some still requiring some unlocks. But in terms of general timing, the big 5, I say you could probably end up getting within the first maybe 15 hours or so, especially if you're min-maxing XP, which when you consider how far into that skill tree it is and how much that actually does help your base experience, it's not a lot of time by comparison to what you might think. But I guess the next question is, are skills affected by the optional upcoming expedition system wipes? Well, upon reaching level 20, you can start progressing to the expedition by committing resources to the project. Again, in lore, this is basically like your character you've worked on and leveled up, venturing out into the unknown, and then you'll start fresh with another new recruit who you can rank up and gear them up as well. A way for in-universe and optional wipe to like make storyline sense, but what is kept after an optional wipe are things like your unlocked maps, so you don't have to go through the onboarding process of that again, workshop stations, codex entries, raider tokens, cred, raider deck progress, active leaderboards, trials, cosmetics, personal event progress, and you'll receive bonus skill points and stash slots from prior completed expeditions. However, what is lost are stash upgrade progresses, so you start back out with that default stash, inventory items, blueprints, coins, player level, raider den items, workshop items, quests, and skill points, meaning your skill tree appears to be reset with every optional wipe upcoming, thus making this consideration of what you want to unlock first something that you can come back to and maybe revisit if you didn't make the right choice the first time around, which is definitely very possible. Like maybe you end up thinking one thing is very much so more beneficial than others. Like myself, maybe I think that stamina is really the go-to thing here, but after I end up playing for 100+ hours or something by the time Expedition 1 comes around, well, maybe I'm like, I probably could have used this more than that beforehand. So you have that opportunity to do this all over again for better or for worse. But again, with the expedition system and its wipes, they're optional. So you don't have to do that if you don't want to. Like if you're thinking, oh my God, I don't want to put that much time into a game and then have to redo everything, you truly don't. But anyways, that is what I would consider the best skills to unlock here early game for Arc Raiders and what I'd recommend. So drop your thoughts down below. Is there anything in particular that stood out to you in the skill tree that you're really going for, that you would add to the list? Let me know. But if you guys enjoyed the video, you found it at all insightful, do me a favor, drop a like on it. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Arc Raiders and even more FPS content I'd love to have in the community. But for now, thanks so much for watching. Mine is Espresso. I'll see you later. Take care and peace.